Hi, today we are making this ice cream sculpture. Look how big it is. We are going to use paper and newspaper. Let's get started. Remember, when we're following along with the video, pause anytime that you need to, and don't be afraid to go back and re-watch a step. I hope you have fun. Take your time. I cannot wait to see your work. To make our ice cream sculpture, you're going to need 2 large light brown pieces of paper, 2 white pieces of paper, and 1 dark brown paper. I'm also going to use some strips for sprinkles and some scraps for maybe a cherry on top, but that is optional. Take one of your big light brown papers, and we're going to put it tall in front of us to start. At the bottom middle, put a dot. Then you're going to draw a line that connects that bottom middle dot up to the top corner. This is our ice cream cone, and we of course want it to be really big. So I'm using as much of the paper as I can, so I have a giant V shape. I'm going to cut this out next. Just cut right on those lines to make your big triangle. Place your triangle onto your other brown paper, line up that top straight edge, and then trace it and cut this one out too. Next, if you want to, you can use a brown marker or crayon or colored pencil to add some lines to your cone. This is optional, but I'm going to add some diagonal lines going all the way down. And then I'm going to put them going the other direction. This is going to make my cone have a nice texture, and it's going to look more like a waffle cone. Next, we're going to make the scoops of ice cream. Take 1 piece of white paper, and we're going to use as much of this as we possibly can. So I'm going to lay it above the cone, so my white paper is going wide. If it's going tall like this, then it does not quite fit. So I'm starting with it above the cone, but then I'm going to put it on top and down a little bit. So if I look underneath, it's overlapping with the cone. Start at the bottom, and we're going to go a little bit above and in from the corner with a C shape. And then go to the other side and do the opposite. So this is a pretty big C. I can fit 3 fingers in it. I'm going to connect across the bottom with a wavy line. When you scoop ice cream, it always ends up with a little bunch at the bottom of the scoop. So this is to show that. For the top, I'm going to do a big curve that takes as much space up here as I possibly can. So I'm going to curve out towards the edge, all the way up to the very tippy top, to the other side, and then in to that spot. Take your time on your scoop. If you're not happy with the way it looks, go back, erase, fix, adjust. When you are done with it though, you're going to cut the whole thing out. After you cut out your scoop, lay it on top of your other piece of white paper, trace it, and then cut it out again. Next, I'm going to take my scoop and glue it onto the top of my ice cream cone. So I'm going to put the glue only on this wavy part along the bottom. But I'm putting a lot because I definitely don't want it to come apart. Do the same thing to the other cone too. If you can see your cone sticking out the top, like I can right there, I'm just gonna trim that off. So I have a front of my ice cream and I have the back. I can tell this is the front because it's the one that has lines on it. Next, we're going to add sprinkles. Grab 2 or 3 colored strips of paper, or you can do all one color if you want to do chocolate sprinkles. It's totally up to you. Take one color at a time, and we're going to cut some small pieces for our sprinkles. We want them all to be the same size too. So I'm just going to cut the end, and I'm keeping my scissors nice and straight. I think I'm going to start with 5 of each color. That'll give me 15 sprinkles. When you glue your sprinkles on, make sure you put glue on the whole sprinkle. And they should be gathered at the top of your ice cream, because when we sprinkle sprinkles on our ice cream, it sprinkles on from the top. So you may have some a little bit lower, but most of them should be on the top. Look how I put my sprinkle on my glue and then I slide the whole thing across it so that I get all the edges, make sure they're totally glued down, and they should be facing in all different directions like they randomly fell onto my ice cream. I'm finished with my sprinkles. You're more than welcome to add more than I did. If you'd like to as well, you could use some scraps of paper like this red and green from our classmates that are making watermelons to add things like a little cherry on top. You could add some chocolate sauce, whatever you think needs to go on your ice cream. But next we're going to put it together. So once you're done with the front of your ice cream, bring the front and the back to me. We're going to put them together. They should be the same, or very close to the same. There we go, and I'm going to staple half of it. Then take a full piece of newspaper, sprinkle it loosely. We're going to open it up gently and put the newspaper inside. I'm going to take an extra half piece, so I'm going to take this double piece and rip it in half, and I'm going to put that in there as well. So that's 1.5 pieces of newspaper in my ice cream cone, then bring it back up to me and I will staple it the rest of the way together. And now we have our ice cream cone. It's stuffed like a pillow and it is all finished. Don't forget to take a picture and turn it in so I can see it. Hope you had fun.